Let's get started. Let's import the install the dependencies. We need Express, Mongoose, JSON Web Token, bcrypt.js, .env. So Express is for the actually creating the server on the top of Node.js. Mongoose is ODM for MongoDB. Just JSON Web Token we use to for authentication to create JWTs. Bcrypt.js we are going to encrypt passwords while storing into MongoDB. We use Bcrypt.js for that. .env for storing env files. Oh, actually, so before running this, we need to actually initiate the project. npm init -y for all the default values, and now we can run this. So while it is running, we also need nodemon as a dev dependency. Okay, so the installations are done. Let's create our server.js. First let's create our basic Express app and run it. App.get the root route, and then so we just created a route here in the root of the domain, which just responds with the JSON with this message. We will see that in the browser in a bit. So we need to listen to a port that can be a 3000, and in the callback method we are just going to console log that app running on port 3000. I think this should do. And also let's have a script here for dev. So nodemon restarts the server whenever it detects changes. When we change this, save this, nodemon is going to reload the server. So it is called dev. Let's run that. npm run dev. Oh, it crashed. Require. Okay, so we have our server running. Let's check that. So we get the message. So that's all it takes to create a basic server using Express. Let's quickly set up .env. Here we are going to save the port, so that instead of hard coding it, we are going to get that from the .env file. So in order to access this .env file, we need to configure and then you can access that back in this process.env. So it says app running on port 3000. So this 3000 is right now coming from the environment file, and the app is still working. So we still get the message. We are good to go. And let's move on to create our MongoDB database, and then we will proceed from that. Login into your MongoDB Atlas site. So search Mongo Atlas and click on the link. I'm already sign in. I'm already signed in this tab. You can create a new project. First API blog. Build a cluster. Create a cluster. Select the free one. So the default values are fine. So the cluster is being created now. It will take some 5 minutes. So our cluster is ready now. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to create collections or anything from this interface. Choose the connect button, and you can do this. Add your current IP address, but I'm going to allow access from anywhere. And create a database user. Connect your application and copy this URI, and we are good. So here in the env file, Mongo URI, and paste it here. Here you can give any database names. So one project can have any number of databases. I'm going to just give blog and update the password here, and we are good. Let's start with our models. So we're going to create models, routes, and controllers. For 3 resources, we are going to have user, post, and comments. We are going to start with the user, and we are going to do authentication. We are going to create routes for register and login. So Mongo schema. So this function gets the definition, so which resembles a JavaScript object. So every user needs a name, type a string. This required. So this required, we can just give true, or we can give an array with 2 values. Add a name with the error message when the name is not there in the request. Mongoose is going to tell this error. Email is necessary. And it has to be unique. And we are going to have a validation, regex validation here. So I'm going to use the most basic email regex validation possibly, which is this: a string followed by an at sign followed by another string. That's all. Type is going to be type of the role is going to be string, and we are going to enforce an enum to choose from. The first option is user, the second one is author, third one is admin, and we also provide the default value, which is user. When the request doesn't provide this information, where it's going to take as default, and obviously the password. And you can actually have a regex match here to enforce the number of special characters, to mandate capital letters and everything, but I'm just going to give a min length. It's going to be 6. So I'm going to select this false. So this makes sure that we won't retrieve, even though we are going to encrypt password while storing to MongoDB, but we don't want to fetch the password whenever anyone fetches the user data. That can be anywhere, like they can, like on clicking the author details in the actual blog, we may need to fetch the user details like name, email, etc. So this select files will stop fetching. I'm going to include timestamps. This will make sure, these options will make sure that created at and updated at will be maintained whenever it remembers the created date of every document and the updated date also, updated time. And we are going to use a middleware to encrypt this. We are going to use bcrypt.js. bcrypt.js. So we're going to use a MongoDB, Mongoose middleware here. Use a schema dot pre. So before saving any document, we are going to, this middleware will be run. So here we can access the document with this that is modified. If whenever we save this document, if the password is modified, then we are going to use bcrypt to encrypt this. Alright, that's salt. We will generate the salt. bcrypt.gen salt. Okay. We'll generate this salt and we will just update the password to byte. Okay, and we shouldn't forget to call the next one, or else it may just stop here. The control flow will come here, will run and will just stop here. That may keep the Mongoose from actually saving the document because we are in the pre-save state. So next is very important. Whenever we deal with middleware, we have to make sure that we continue the flow with the next. And then actually we are going to use a method now. User schema. We are going to create a schema method dot methods dot match password. So this function we are going to use. There are statics and methods. The methods, when we create a method, okay, let's create this method and talk about this. So this is the function. So this method of the schema we can call from the using the document we have. So we fetch the user document and we can just call this method from inside, from using the document. So the statics and methods in Mongoose are used to encapsulate the database logic within the data model itself. We can obviously have this as a util function outside, that will also work, but just to encapsulate the, as I said, the logic, because as you can see the other models are not going to access this. So this logic of matching password completely belongs to the user model. We will see, we will use this method in a bit, and then we are also going to have another method called for get signed JWT. So further we need the JWT. So in this method we are actually creating a signed JWT where I'm passing the whole user object. You will see I'm going to encode the whole user object inside the JWT, so which helps us access data directly inside that. So this is actually the JSON JWT secret. We will take this inside the env file, this and the expiry date, expiry duration inside the env file in a bit. We will test it out first. Module.exports model user schema. So our model is ready. Let's create some controllers. So we are going to pass name, email, password and role in the body. So if it's not there, it's going to be undefined, and this is going to be default. The role, the default will be passed as the user. So we destructure that, and we're going to create the user. After the user is ready, we're going to use the user to actually call this function, this method we have for the user, the get signed JWT, and we are going to return the whole thing. 201.json success true token, and also the user token. Okay, so in the register, oh, this is name. I think everything is fine now. So in the register, we destructure everything. We create the user. This is the MongoDB model. We create a user with that, and we use the schema method to create a token, and we just send back everything. Let's also quickly create a login and then move on to create the route for accessing this. We're going to pass email and password for login from the body. We destructure that, and let's have some validation. Let's check if the email is there or not. Email and password. If and then we are actually going to find a user document using the email he sent. So this works like a where condition, where it will go to this collection, the user collection, look for this email ID, and as you can remember, the email is unique, also should be unique, so it gets only one document. We get only one document, and we also have to select the password. We gave this a select false, but in this situation, in this use case, we need the password back. So this is the syntax to get the password. If there is no user, again we are going to throw an error. And then we are going to use the next method we created, the match password. Await user.match password of password. So this password is the password he sent in the request body. You're going to pass this, and within this function is going to compare entered password along with the password that is actually there in the database, which is encrypted, and that's why we are asking the bcrypt. So this is the guy who encrypted it, so we are asking bcrypt again to decrypt. So this encrypted password is actually in plain text, so this is in encrypted, and this will return a boolean. if the entered password and the stored encrypted password are same, and if is match, if there is a match, then we are going to throw another error. And I'm going to again use this same thing to send a token. We call the get signed JWT, and we're going to pass everything. We don't have to send the user. So now we have the controllers. Let's go create the routes. So we create, so initially from the express we just created the app by invoking what we get back from here from the package. We just invoke that to get back the app, but we can also get a function called router, and we can invoke that to get the router. So, and we use the router to create the routes. So we will hook this part, this user route into the server in a bit, and before that we will just finish this part. And same goes for the login, and we have to export the router. So this we will import from the server, the main server.js file, and we are going to route the request into it. I think we are good. Let's move on to the server.js here. Let's keep it in the top. Okay, so here we need to import the route. User, comma user. So that's all to to connect this whole router into the server.js. We can choose to have, so this is a basic link. As you can see, this is a root route, and we can keep having user, we can keep having like this slash user slash register and slash user slash login. So you can keep doing that, but that messes up the main file here. So this here helps us the route. We imported express, we extracted the router out of it, and we connected these controllers, the register and login controllers we created here, and we exported the router. This keeps things very simple, very clean. As we were going with that, let's test the, okay, something is broken. Module, okay, where is it? User models, user 50. But got an undefined, oh, router.use. Okay, so this is not a default. This is actually we are exporting a default export from here. Okay, and we have to connect the database. So db, let's create an index file. So here we are going to access the process.env.mongo-URI. And the second, okay, that's enough. And we are going to have a console log. We'll just print the connection.connection.host, or we'll just call this connect.con. That's simpler. And we need to export this function. Maybe this time let's do it in not as a default export. So we will import that here. So this part needs to be in the top. So if we try to do this connect db and if we run this, it's going to throw an error. It is saying mongoose.connect must get a string because we are accessing the environment variable here, and the environment variable is set up only in this line, so this has to be in the very top. Okay, yeah, so now the MongoDB is connected, and it keeps giving some deprecation warnings, and to suppress them we need to add these things to the options while connecting to the database. This mongodb.connect, mongoose.connect. Okay, so we are good to go. Let's move on. So from the user, create a collection here, /users /user. Okay, now register, and we are going to pass name John, email j@gmail.com, password we set a limit for 6 characters minimum, and let's leave the role for the default one, and let's run it. Can't get, oh, so that's a post request. So we give it a post request, it has to be post. Okay, so we forgot to include the body parser. So in order to destructure the body elements, so it used to be we need to import the body parser and include that as a middleware, but Express now re-exports what body parser is giving us. So let's use a middleware and pass this. I also need URL encoded. So it has to be for every request so that the body will be accessible here. When we try to destructure, it will make the body friendly to be destructured. Let's try it again. Yeah, so our token is ready, our user is ready, he's created. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to save this as an environment variable inside Postman. So this is actually a token for user. So you can see this the role is user, that the default value we gave. We're going to have, so this is a token for user. Oh, the environment is dev. Okay, so let's create another user, John2 J2 with the same password to remember. And now I'm going to pass the role as author, John Jane. Oh, email ID should be unique, so Jane is the author. Let's pass. The account is created. We got back the JWT. Let's store that again here. Oh, this is token for author. Save that. Jane, John, Harry. Harry is the admin. So now we got 3 users. Let's test the login. So login is going to get the email and the password in the body. So it has to be JSON and raw. Let's try the wrong password first. So we have some problem. What about the right one? Okay, so the right one works, but the wrong one is not working. Okay, so the basic. So here we are just. Where is that? Controllers. Let's close everything. So this throw we are not getting back. So just for testing it, I'm going to return a rest.json. Success, false, error, sh. Please provide. So we're going to test it without passing one of these two. So we had this throw one here. We were trying to throw an error, but it was not working. That's why we are just returning back a JSON. So let's start pass the password. Error, unexpected token. Okay, that's a different error. Please provide the valid email and password. Okay, so we have to throw them here. We have to actually return a response. So let's copy paste here also. Invalid credentials. We will clean these things. So now we get back the invalid credentials and one more scenario. So right now we triggered this invalid credentials because we passed the wrong password. Here, okay, if you pass the wrong email ID, it's going to say invalid. Okay, just let's pass the correct password, but some other email ID which is not there. It's not to give the same response. It's for just differentiation. Wrong email. We don't have to do it, but just to differentiate the error message for now. So this is wrong email. So we are good. So we'll create a middleware here, and on throwing an error, we will do the returning a response, because as you can see there is a lot of duplicate code here. Rest.json, return rest.json 3 times. So a throwing error is much more simpler. It's just one line, and we are going to catch that later. And okay, so maybe let's just do it now. As we have the register and login working. I'm going to go ahead and create a middleware for handling these errors. Middleware error response.js. So here we have exports. Here we are going to get the error request and response, and the next here we are going to do the same thing we did here. Error Okay, let's just pass the error here. Whatever we sent there, we'll just pass it here. So this is error handler, so the success is going to be false by default. Okay, so now we need to import this from the server file, and we are going to have it in the last. Error response. Okay, so let's have this after every route, because that's where we need to catch this. So let's go ahead and pass the error message to this middleware from the user controller. So instead of returning a response, we need to use next here, next, and then I'm going to pass a message going to be please enter the valid. Let's test this out a bit. Let's test this out just for testing from middleware. Okay, so in the middleware I'm also console logging it, so we'll see. I'm going to call this without email. So we passed the error message from here, and it went. Cannot set headers after they are sent to client. Please provide valid email and password from middleware. Okay, so this got printed. We got some other error here. We'll see it later. We'll see this error later. So let's do the same for everybody. Let's check everything out. So the second scenario is having no email. Let's pass a wrong email here. So it says invalid credentials. If we pass a wrong password, what? Oh, we have found a bug then. We have to return. Okay. So first the one without any email, without email or password, it's working. With wrong email, it's also working. With wrong password, it's also working. So we forgot to actually return the next one, this function, so that the control flow will just stop here and it just returns back, or else something happening. Okay, so we have our login, and let's log in once with proper credentials. Okay, so stuff are working. So whenever we use next, so we are getting it, and the job is done here. We are just passing it works like assembly unit, that this part I have finished working, so whoever coming next can just use this. So we have error response here, and inside the error response we are just returning back a JSON. So there may be cases, mostly there can be cases like there can be a lot more middlewares between these two guys. Right now we are just taken for granted that we are just passing the next and this guy is catching that, but that's not very typical case. We can have lot more middleware, so where we will check if it is relevant, if the error message whatever we are sending, if it is relevant, and if it's not relevant, we are going to pass the next. If we have app.use something here, we are going to see if the request is relevant to this middleware. If it's not there, we'll just again call next from there. Let's proceed with the post model. So the journal is going to take some enum values. Can give fiction, cooking, business, sports, and others. By default, it's going to be others. If the author did not specify the genre, we're going to take it as default. And we are going to actually connect the user with the post. In this case, it is the author who wrote the post, where the type is going to be mongoose.schema.object id. Okay, and then the ref is user. So this user in the model, this user. So basically from the front end, the Postman, we are going to pass the user ID. What we get back when we registered, we are going to pass the ID as user, and Mongoose is going to help us connect with the user data. We can join them later. So it's going to be required. Please add author ID, and we're going to have duration, the read duration, which is going to be a number. We are going to derive this duration from the number of words in the post body. That's basically like a read duration of the post. And here we are going to pass timestamps true. And we will access the middleware, the pre-save middleware, and we will derive the duration. This duration is equal to this post body. We will split that. This is the most efficient way to find the duration, but for now it's fine. So basically it will I think it is 200 words per minute, but for simplicity, let's have that as 20. The post body with 110 words are going to be given. The duration is going to be 5.5 minutes for that. So that's all. Let's export this module.exports equal to. I think our schema is good. Let's create our controller. Let's just get all the posts. Await post.find. That's all. And let's return back with the status 200, the JSON posts. And so we have this now. Okay, let's also create the get that one post. So here we are actually going to access this route by passing the post ID as a query parameter in the URL itself. So instead of this, it's going to be find by ID and rect.params.id. So this should give us the post. Okay, so let's create our route. We are doing the same thing we did here, and we need to log in. We need to destructure. We need to import the controllers. controller slash post, and we have get posts and get post. Okay, and we are going to use a router to how do you do it here? Router.post. So these both stuff are going to be get in this case. Router.get it's going to be get post. If it has an ID here, so this is the ID we are going to access like this, the params.id. So this should be, this ID is very important. This should be same as this, get post, and let's export module.exports equal to router, and let's go to the server. Let's import the post. Routes slash post. Okay, suppose. So right now we don't have any posts, but let's just access those two and see if they are returning back an empty array. It's just get, and then instead of user it's post, which should actually give us everything. So let's create our controller for create post. We're going to use the function create for this, and let's destructure the required items from the rec.body. We would need, what do we have? Post title, post body, journal, user. Journal, and the user we are actually going to get from the JWT. It's not good to allow the user to pass the user ID. He can pass any ID he wants. So also user is required to. So before proceeding to the create post, let's create some middleware. It is called for authenticating. So we need JWT for this. So this middleware will work before everybody, like how this error response is after everyone to catch the error. This guy is going to live here before the root route. He's going to receive all the requests, and this authenticate, this middleware is going to pass. It's going to get the JWT, and it's going to get the user data from that and pass that to the next request. It's going to attach the request, attach the user details to the request. So we need these three parameters. Dot headers authorization. So that's why we are going to pass it. Dot starts with bearer. So that's the convention to pass the JWT with bearer as a bearer token. token is equal to dot headers dot authorization dot split. We are going to split that, and we are going to get the second value because it's going to be like bearer space what. This is how it's going to be, and we are going to take the second part of the string. If there is no token passed, we are going to use the error handler, error response middleware, right? We are going to pass. How did we pass it here? Unauthorized. That's enough for now. So we try to decode. So we are going to verify the token, but before that, where did we create the token? We created in the user model, user controller, the user model. Okay, so now we have, this is the JWT secret. I'm going to use this, put it inside the environment variable. We don't need the strings, and also the expiry 30D JWT expire. Okay, and we can now use this here in the user because we need to use the same thing while signing and while verifying. Process.env.jw token, and here it's process.env.jwt expire. And back in the controller, back in the auth middleware, we are going to pass the process env.jwt secret. JWT secret. Oh, it's not a token, it's a secret. Oh, okay. So we verify the token, and we are going to attach the user to the request equal to. I need to check this. I need to actually look what we have in the decode. Just log it here, and we are just assigning the whatever we have decoded here to the user, and in the catch we are going to again just return a error message to the error handler. Unauthorized is fine. So we have this authenticate middleware here, and I need to make sure what we get back in the decode. Actually, I have attached the whole user object here, this, so I'm a bit confused. I'm not very certain about it. Let's see. So we have to use this authenticate middleware. So we have to go to the route, and we have to get the create post. So create post is again a post to the same route. And before the create post, we need to pass this authenticate, and we need to import authenticate too. It's in the middleware auth. Okay, so let's test that. We should be seeing this message decoded. post. Journal, let's have journal as fiction, and user, we are looking at it. Duration, we will see. So these are three things required. Let's just run this. And we don't have the token yet. Let's see if the middleware is working. The auth middleware should catch this. Okay, so unauthorized. So this error message is coming from the auth middleware. I mean the, okay, let's token not available, just to differentiate for now. And here error while verifying the token. So right now we don't have a token. We'll test with a fake token after this. So the token is not available, and I'm going to pass the token here, authorization, here bearer, and token user. I'm also looking to create another middleware to authorize this. Here we have authenticate. So I'm also planning to have an authorized middleware with the type of the role. So let's see it. Something went wrong. So decoded. So we have decoded here. We need to access the user inside the decoded and then the ID. So I think what went wrong is that I'm not seeing any error also here. Just we are not getting back any response. But I came to know that we have to access the user like this, decoded dot user. Let's do that. So decoded dot user, we access the whole decoded object, we access the user inside that, we assign that here, and here in the post, okay, so here we need to get the user as ID, right? So here we are going to get the user ID as rec dot user dot underscore ID, and we are going to pass. So user is fine, user, and let's pass everything inside the create, and we are going to return back a 201 dot json. Success is true, data post. This newly created post, the app is crashed, user has already been declared. Where controllers post line number 15, the user is already declared. Oh, okay, yeah. So we get the user from here, and then we just pass it here. Okay, so now let's just run this. We have the valid token here. I would also see a small, okay, let's pass a wrong token. Let's copy this and try this. It's saying error while verifying the token. That's what we needed. That error comes from here. It tries to verify the JWT, and if something goes wrong, if it's not a valid JWT, it's going to give back this error. And let's try with the actual user. There's some problem with that. Do we have the route set up correctly? Route.post. Authenticate. Okay, I think we are not calling the next from the authenticate. So here, okay, let's cancel this. So after everything, so we have to call next here. So if we have the next here for the error case, we should have the next for the positive case. Okay, so we forgot to put next here. Okay, so we got our post getting created with the user. Let's test that with our get all posts. Okay, and let's also have our get one post route saved. Get one post by ID. Posts slash ID, the router. Okay, it's get. So the both these get routes are public routes, and this create one is authenticated, is restricted. So we have our create routes ready. Let's create our update and delete controllers. So before that, I want to address one thing, that we got some error. This, if for example, if I forgot to send the user here, and if I attempt to try the second post, try to create a second post with business, it's not going to give back anything. It's going to keep running. So we need to wrap everything inside, this stuff inside a try catch, this stuff and this stuff, and instead of that I'm going to create a middleware. It's not actually middleware, but it's a utility function. Let's create that. So the requirement here is, if I pass it without something, which is actually giving error here, that the post validation failed, user please add the author ID. It's coming back here, but we need the error here, right? So let's do it. Let's create a util folder, utilities, and I'm going to create something called a trycatch.js, which is a function catch handler. Let's call this trycatch also. Just going to get a function. This function is this whole function we are going to pass it, and also we will get back. So this is the function. Unwrap everything inside the try catch. Let's try it once again. Yeah, so now we get the error. So we have to do this for wherever we deal with the asynchronous database calls and everything. We are going to wrap the whole functions inside our try catch function. So that will give back this error. We can work on this if we don't want to give this error message to the client. We can work on that. It's not a problem. So here also, wherever we deal with this stuff, we are going to wrap this with the try catch. Not here. The user we need. Oh, dot dot. Okay, it is working. Let's create our second post. Okay, before that we need to update this. We need to pass the user. So we got our second post created, and let's go ahead and work on our update and delete posts. We're going to find the post by ID first. If it's not there, we are going to return a error with the next there. And we are going to make sure that the post ID who has the user ID in the post should match with the requester who is trying to update this post. Post.user not equal to rec.user.id. That's how it is. rec.user.-id. If this is not equal, then we are going to again send an error saying not authorized to update this post. And then we are going to update the same post we have here. We are going to update that white find by ID and update. We're going to first pass the params.id, which is the post ID, and we're going to just pass the body here, request.body. We need to pass the the options. It has to be new, and we have to run the validators. True, run validators. Okay, and we are going to send the response back. Status of 200.json, success true, and data post. Okay, let's go ahead and try this. We need to create the route for this. Import this here. It's going to be put. Actually, we are going to completely replace the existing document, because as you can see we get the body and we are just replacing that. If we choose to update one single attribute in the document, then that will be a patch. Put post slash, let's update this post. Let's first save this one as update post. Second post updated, second post body updated. Okay, so let's go on. Put, okay, so this has to be ID. Okay, so we are passing the ID here, and what happened? Provide extended. Params is not defined. Post 26. Oh, okay. That should be request.params. Let's try it once again. Not authorized to update this post. What? Both are string and both are similar type of okay. So the first one, object that post that user, is coming out like as an object here. So let's change that to a string. We don't need this console log. Okay, and let's try it out again. What? Post 39. Oh, I just updated it. There are lots of typos. I'm leaving, so okay, so it is working now. Let's also go in and test all the posts and see. We get the updated one, post second port updated, so the update is working. Let's create a delete post. This is going to be pretty similar with this function, the update one. We check if the post is there, and if we check if the user is the one who wrote the post, and then we update it, right? So instead of that, we do the same steps here, and instead of updating, we are going to, it is post, and we are going to just use remove to remove this post. Post.remove is a function. And after that, we are going to respond with the status 200 and JSON success true data empty. So this should work. Let's create one more route for this. Delete post, and it is delete. It's fine, and we'll save this. Let's create a new post for post just to, okay, and also we need to create the route. Let's import delete post. So this is delete. It has to be authenticated, and delete post. Let's create a new post to delete. Post to be deleted. First body body post. Post body for the post to be deleted. It's going to be others. Oh, let's leave and see if what happened. Okay, we got some error here. It's not at all tolerant. So the journal is others. We got the ID. Let's run this once and see. So we have three posts now. We are going to delete this one. Delete post. Pass this ID. So we already have our authorization token here, and we have our user ID, everything there. So that will be used in authenticating this request. Okay, so it is success. And I'm planning to, okay, so now everything is fine. I'm planning to include one more. Okay, let's finish the comments first. Let's go to models. Let's start with the comments model. We're going to have comment text, which is the actual comment. It's going to be type string, and that is required true. Please add comment text, and we are going to have the post and the user. The post is of type again the mongoose or mongoose dot schema dot object id. It is not coming for some reason. It's object id, and the ref is post. This is required true. Also same goes for the user, which is of the mongoose.schema.object id, and this is the reference. Ref is user, and that's all. Let's just export this. Okay, let's move on to the controller. Expose.get comments. Let's finish the get comments and get comment. Let's wrap with our try catch async rec res next, and first we are going to actually make sure that the post is there. So dot body, and if there is no post id given in the body, we are going to we are going to do just throw an error. Not given. Find by id, and we are going to pass the post id inside it. And if there is no post available here, we are going to take into the same thing, saying the post is not available, post not available, post not found. Comment dot find, and there's going to be a condition which is post equal to post id. So this is actually the attribute of the document, and this is the post id. This variable here we get from the body. Sort status 200 JSON true data comments. Okay, let's create the router. Let's copy paste a bit. We need all this stuff here also, but not from the post, but the comment. And pass it here. And we have to also, whenever we create a new route for a new resource, we need to do that in the server, which is comments. And let's do it here. So let's see. It's get its comments, and we'll save that. We don't need the id here. What? I could use sequencing middleware function, but got a type of function. Oh. Comments, route.comments. Okay, so I forgot to export. Okay. So that should fix that. That's right, we are actually expecting an empty array. Post ID not given, so we have to populate the body. Let's get one post from here. Let's take the first post ID, and this is going to be post ID. So this should work. We are expecting an empty array. Okay, yeah, it's working. Let's create create comment. So this is also going to be an authenticator route, so we will be getting the user details here from the auth middleware. And let's see if the post is available. Post.find by id, and this was the post id. If the post is not there, you're going to send a message, error message, post not found. And let's go ahead and create the comment. Wait, comment.create. Let's pass the request.body and user, and post as post id. Let's add this to the route. This is going to be a post route, and let's test it out. Create command is post, and in the body we're going to send post id and comment text, first comment. Okay, so that was there already. Okay, comment text. Let's just make sure if that is the right word. And the model.comment, it's comment text post user. Okay, and we need the authorization bearer token user. We haven't worked on that authorization middleware where it looks for the role author while creating the post. We will see. Oh, something went wrong. ID of undefined cannot. Okay, so we need to pass the authenticate before this. So this is the guy who makes the user object available in the request. So let's try it again. Okay, that's good. We have the user ID, have the post ID. Let's get all the comments, and actually we are also passing the post ID here. Okay, we are good. But one more thing I want to do now is that I'm going to use virtuals to actually populate the post data right here. So that will be better than having just the ID. So this works like the join in SQL. Okay, so the virtual is done, and while creating the get comment, I'm going to use that virtual to populate the post data here. and we're going to write the get comment. We're going to actually pass the comment ID in the parameter, so we don't want this stuff. So this is going to be find by ID, and I need to pass the rec.params.id. This is the comment ID, and there after this, as we have the virtual setup, we can actually use populate, and we have to mention the path, which is the post, and we can also select few stuff. Okay, let's select first post title and duration, for example, and that's all. This is comment and this is comment. Okay, and also let's quickly check if there is no comment. Let's pass the error, this error. Comment not found. Okay, so let's add this to the route. This is with an ID. So we have the comment ID here, and let's save this as get comment by ID, and let's pass the ID here. We don't want the post ID. We don't want anything. So this is not an authenticator route, so we are good. Let's see. Yeah. So here we go. So the post is coming back not just with the ID but with the selected items. Let's see without any select how it works. So without selecting anything, it's going to return back the whole post ID, post document, which is helpful in some situations. Let's also do the same for this user. So head towards the user model, and let's copy paste this one to the user also. Comments, this is user, and we can do the same populate this one. We can do that for the user also. Something is crashed. Post schema. Oh, okay. So this is user schema, comments, reference comment, this ID, and the part when the user, this part, we are actually joining this ID with the underscore ID in the user model, which is actually the user ID. Let's see. Oh, something went wrong. Okay, yeah, so it's working. So we have the user data here, we have the post data here, and actually we can get the user data also here. Right now, if you think about it, we are just getting one comment by its ID. All this stuff is not required, but I'm just exploring stuff we can do. And also, if we want, we can populate this part also inside the post. If we want the author details, we can have the details here also. Let's do it. So we need the same thing inside the user. Okay, inside the user we are also doing the comments. This is for post, the reference is post, and then the ID is ID, and then the post is post. Oh, okay, this is user schema. and inside the get comment we can actually have it an inner populate field also, which is not a function but just an object, and where we can mention user. Let's see. So yeah, so this is actually the guy who commented, and this is the post details, and this is the author details. In this case these are actually the same guys. Okay, let's create another comment with from another guy. For that we need to change the token. We have 3 tokens. Okay, let's comment from the admin. Important comment from the admin. Okay, I think the same post ID. Let's create that. Okay, now I'm going to get the comment details from this ID, where you can see the commented guy is called Harry, the admin, and actually this is better to be called author, but we name it as user, but that's fine. But the author detail is author name is John. If you want to just get the name, we can mention it here. Select name and maybe email. Oh, okay. Actually, this should be here. Here also, I think name and email are enough. Let's also copy paste this here. Let's run it once again. Oh, okay. There is no name and email for the post. So the post, maybe we'll just display the post title and duration. So we get only the required data, the post title, the duration is here. Let's just create a, okay, actually we gave like 1 minute per 20 words. Let's search some lorem ipsum and let's create a bit bigger post just for the sake. Words 133. Let's create a new post. This time let's create it from the author guy. Author, we created some. Okay, that's a spelling mistake there. Come on. Token author update. So token author is there, and then the body. This is the body, and let's give some name here. First KVT Akamsam arrows. So the author is creating this post. It's a new post. Post body. Now the duration is 6.65 minutes. That's fine. If you want, we can round that up, but no problem. So we were like playing around with the visuals, and we connected this stuff, populated this, populated. We have also used the inner population. Basically we are not dealing about any indexing or anything. The performance of the database is going to be very poor. We are like randomly asking mongoose to just join data. If we have like a million records, this is going to run forever. So the performance about indexing, that's for another topic. So right now we are just dealing with the syntaxes, how to deal with stuff. So let's finish the update comment and delete comments. So we did the same thing what we did with the update post. We get the comment. If there is no comment available, we are just returning the error. And if the guy who is attempting to update the comment should be the user who wrote the comment. So we have another check there, and then we are finding the comment by ID and updating the body. Let's also do the delete comment and just implement them together. Okay, so we checked the two conditions we checked here in the update comment. If both satisfied, we're going to go ahead and remove the comment. So let's connect this to inter update comment, delete comment, and both are authenticated also. Update is put and delete is delete. The HTTP verbs. This is delete. Okay. Put, delete, both get the ID in their parameters. So update command. Let's see what comments we have right now. Get comments for this post. We have two comments, one from the admin, one from the. Okay, let's create one more comment from the author himself. I'm not sure who the author is. I think that's the user one. May not. Some mean comment to be deleted. F7. F7. Okay, some mean comment to be deleted. So now we have 3 comments. Let's delete this one. Delete comment. We have to pass the ID in the params. We have the header, authorization. I'm a bit confused. Okay. This is going to be the user. Doesn't need a body. Let's run this. Error post. This should be delete. Okay, before that, let's update the comment and then we'll delete it. Okay, so update comment. This is from the user himself. This is the token we used to create the comment, so that's why we are using the same thing for update. This is going to be less meaner comment. Let's put not authorized to delete the comment. Comment delete. So this should be update, but the comment that user should be equal to rec.comment. Okay, this should be underscore id. This should be underscore id. I think that is the problem. Okay, yeah, so it is less meaner comment now, but that is still mean, so we'll go ahead and let's just make sure. So we have less mean comment here. We'll delete that. First let's try to do that with another user, token author. It's going to say not authorized to. Let's do with the admin guy. Actually the admin should be given priority to delete rights to delete any comments, but we haven't given right now. Token user can delete. So now we go back here. There are going to be two comments. The mean comment is gone. So the comments we did two controllers, the update command and delete command, which are working. So let's create one more middleware here called authorize. So we have a role setup in the user, the role, and we are going to create an admin specific routes where he can actually play around with all the users. If he want, he can delete users, create new users, so that stuff. So further we are going to create a new route. This is going to actually get an array of roles. Okay, so if the given array is not the roles array of roles is not one of the role which the user has, then we are going to send a new error. Unauthorized to access this route, and we have to send the next. If not, we are actually going to send the just move forward with the next way. Let's use it in the okay, so let's use it here. Middleware /auth. Let's quickly create one controller for that. Users, right now we have register and login. Let's create get all users like this. Let's keep it here. Get users. Request response, it's going to be users and user.find. Let's send the users back, and let's use it in the route, which is going to be a get with nothing users. So it's going to be like localhost 3000/users. So that will, so I have kept it as an unauthorized route till at this point. Let's first see that /users, it's a get. We don't have a get, we have get users /user. I have these singular plural problems everywhere. So it gets us 3 users right now, but I'm going to make this as only admin only route. So after the route, I'm going to just use this, and this is going to get an array admin. Let's see. Now right now we don't even have any headers, any JWT associated in the header. Let's just try. It did not give back any error, but cannot read property role of undefined. Okay, so we need to actually, as you can see, we are actually trying to get the role from the request.user. Here, this guy is not, the client is not setting that. So how do we get this rec.user? By the authenticate. So this is the guy who is assigning this rec.user, right? So we need to have that also, I mean in the router. Here, authenticate, if we have it before the authorize, it's going to run before authorize, and let's see, the error shouldn't happen now. Unauthorized token not available. Token not available? Yeah, so we haven't sent the token now. Let's now send the user token. So this is only accessible by the token of the admin. Let's try with the author token. Is going to say unauthorized to access this route. So this error we are getting from the authorized. This it just checked for the request.user role. This is not what we just gave this as admin, right? For example, if I add this to author also, it's going to work. So it works, but we don't want that to work. Let's update this to admin, and let's see the failure ones. So it's unauthorized now, and admin. So this will work. So we will just keep it this way. So we have created enough routes. Let's also save this as get all users inside the user. We have enough routes here, but for example, we cannot search for anything. Like we cannot have a condition here, but we cannot sort by duration, etc. It's not going to work. Because we have to do it ourselves. We can do it right in the query itself. The post comments, this is what we are looking at. We can keep we can give the conditions here, the sort, filter, everything, but I'm going to create a utility class for that, and this class will be taking care of all the API features. This is going to be a class. Let's implement the sort first. So now from the post controller, instead of this, first let's import that. Advanced query is equal to new API feature of post.find. So the API features gets two parameters. One is the query itself, which is post.find is the query, and then the query string. The query string we are going to get from the rec.query, and we are going to, as you can see, this new dot is going to give us an object, and we can call the sort method from that. Sort and advanced query. So let's see. Oh, okay. So this sort did not return anything. Actually, this has to return the object, actual object. So that allows us to call this query, because so we have the query here. We pass a query here, and when we use this method, it's going to update the query, this query. We are going to update this part inside this query, and we're going to return that. And that's how we can actually call this this query. Now it should run. Let's see. Now actually I'm going to sort with the duration, descending order, which brings the greatest largest number above. I can do this ascending order then, so this makes the lesser ones. So let's sort with the post title. This is ascending order, F first. Okay, Fi goes first, Fu comes next, and third one is Se. We can make it descending also. So we have implemented the sort one. Let's continue with the page init. So we are going to look for page and limit query parameter. Page. So by default this parameter is going to be a string, so we are going to parse int that. So if it is not there, by default we are going to assign 1. Same goes for limit. We are going to change that to an integer, and by default let's have as 10. And we are going to create the skip one, which is page minus 1 into limit. So if the page is 2, then we are going to skip the 2 minus 1, 1 into 10. So we are going to display from 11 to 20. And then we are going to update this query dot skip. So skip, let's pass skip, and then limit is limit, and then of course we need to return this. Okay, there is no error, so let's try. And we're going to pass limit page and limit, maybe let's say 2, because we have three results. Now we are get what, page 1 limit 2, but we are actually getting 3, so it's not actually working. Okay, yeah, we need to add this here. It was page init, I'm sorry. So now it should work. 1 2. Now if we have limit by 1, we also have this sort going on. Maybe let's sort by duration, which is descending. Also we have a minus sign, so we get the first one with the longest duration. We can go to the page 2. We're going to get the next element, which is first post title, page 3, the third one. Page 1 limit 2, we get the first two ones, and then in the page 2 we're going to get the third one. So pagination is working. Next, let's do fields. So we should be able to select fields, or else it will always return all the fields. So fields. So here we will be looking for something called we will be passing fields parameter here. So this is what we will be passing. Fields equal to ID post title. So this is what we will be using, but it's not there yet. To avoid confusions, let's take the other stuff, fields. So right now it is actually returning all the fields. We will see. So if this dot query string, so we should also have a if statement here, dot fields. So let's go ahead and add this here first. So we're going to look for both page and limit, dot limit. If it's there, we are going to update this stuff, and or else it will just come here, get failed, and just return this. So it is working. So let it be this way. Let's continue with the fields. So if the fields are there, then we need to, as I said, so this is how we will be passing fields equal to ID post title. So it's going to be a comma separated strings. So this dot query string dot fields dot split, we are going to split by comma, and then we are going to join back. So this will give us an array, and then we are going to join that back with spaces. Query equal to this dot query dot select of fields. So this select asks for this ID, post title, etc. So that's what we are preparing here. We get that with string, and then we are making that spaced strings, fields, and then again we need to return this. This is the object. This is the object we create here. New API features. Yeah, okay. So again I need to, I keep forgetting this thing. So fields, select fields are working too. What about post body? Obviously that will appear. So we have sort, paginate, and field, select fields. So now we must be able to filter the content. For example, if we want to filter like with duration, we should be able to do that. Let's do filter. So filter is going to work like, for example, here. Okay, actually I should use this one, so that I need not delete every time. Limit to, what else, fields, let's use here, comma. Okay, so it is working. So we can unselect this so that I don't have to type it again and again. So if the filter works like if we want to have duration, we are going to use like this, greater than 5. That's going to return back only the blog post above 5 minutes duration. We can use GTE greater than or equal to L less than or equal to all this sign. So let's implement that. So the problem is here, when we just blindly use all the query parameters, we're going to get into problem because there are page limit and fields there which we don't have to deal here. We need to exclude them. Let's do it. Let's add all the fields to be eliminated. And then excluded fields dot, we're going to loop that x fields, and we are going to exclude everything from the query object. Delete query object of exclude fields. So we are going to get all these strings. These are keys basically. We get the array of string, and then we are passing through it, we are looping through it, and we are deleting the keys from the query object. So without disturbing everything, we are copying that to a new object, and we are doing this operation. So let's create the query string once again by stringifying. Right, JSON stringify query object. And also one more thing is that Mongoose expects us to send this. It asks us to include a $sign, but in a common REST API we won't use that. So we are going to add a $sign for all the GTE, LT, LTE. Query string equal to, we are going to replace we are passing an regex here. It starts with so that's going to have GTE, LT, LTE. So this is the regex. So I need a G here. Okay. Dollar. We add a $sign. So when in the whole query string, it looks for these parts, and when it matches, we are adding a $sign in before that. Now the query string is ready. We can simply update this dot query this dot query dot find json dot parse query string. So this should work. Let's return this. Okay, so this should work, and also let's add it there. Okay, let's do without anything greater than 5. It's already working. Let's do less than. So we get the other two LTE, which doesn't make any difference. GTE. Okay, so let's do journal others. How many others? 1 2, so all three are others. Okay, so we have dates there. Maybe let's try with the created at greater than, let's give some date, 1636, 32. This is 42, this is 1648. Let's give this one, and we should be actually getting this one thing, greater than. It's not greater than or equal to, so we're getting only one thing. If it is greater than or equal to, we are getting two things, because it equals this one, also this is greater than that. So we can do all this greater than, etc, etc. But as I said earlier, we need to properly index the database to get optimal performance. This is going to be, no, Mongoose allows us to do all this kind of filtering and sorting, searching, etc. But we need to come up with our access patterns of what we look for, what are the frequent access patterns, and we need to index the database accordingly. So our API is fairly done. We can keep working on the nuances, but we have seen we have a basic CRUD operations for our resources. So we could have gone with update user, delete user, and we could have given authorized admin access to those routes, but we have already gave that to this get all users here, routes user. So this get all user should be authenticated. If the user needs to be authenticated first, and then he should also have passed this segment, this authorized admin, which basically checks for user role to have the admin. So we could have, we can work on this API, still work on this, but I would like to wrap at this point. So when we want to, so just create a collection, organize them neatly, and click publish docs. We can export that to JSON also, like this, export, but let's say this one. So I have already published this. So let's go see the, we can, the screen will allow us to change the layouts, colors, etc. I just gave everything as a default one. So this is the documentation we have, and we can share this link. So we have our routes. So it also shows sample URLs. So in this case, we can have other attributes also, but this is a sample one, how to access them, etc. And you can pass this to the developers, the front-end developers, whoever the consumers of the API are. So that's it about this tutorial. Thank you for watching.